Welcome to another episode of the ChamberSOUTH Spotlight. My name is Alexander Noda with Synovus Bank, and I'm here today to be your host. I'm extremely excited because I have Alejandrina Aguilar today, the CEO and founder of Stellar IT Solutions. I'm so happy to have you here today with me.
Thank you for having
me. Extremely excited to get to know you and have the opportunity to have a conversation with you. And we'll see where it goes.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Phenomenal. So why don't you tell me about your career trajectory, your business, some of that.
Yeah, of course. I love talking about the story of my business because I feel like when you start college, you have this idea of where life is going to take you.
Yeah.
But at 18, do you really know what you're doing, where you're going to end up?
You don't.
Absolutely not. I mean, I liked 5 different guys. If I can, I don't know a type of man, how am I going to pick a career,
Right.
But so my original plans were I really wanted to be a clinical psychologist. I've always been very interested in human behavior and understanding others and helping others find their happiness. So that's what I went to school for. And when I finished school, I was like, nope, this is not what I want to do.
Not it.
And it comes from being like a very empathetic person. And I think the word empathy kind of there's a misconception behind the word, because when you say you're empathetic, most people think that, you're compassionate or that you're kind. But being empathetic is really absorbing the emotions of others, and it's kind of like a blessing and a curse because you feel so much for other people. So that was a clear indicator for me that I could not go down that career path because it would have been
taking it all in for you.
Yeah. So then here I am after school, and I'm like, what am I going to do with my life now? So I said, you know what, I'm going to be an attorney. So let me go find a job at a law firm so that I can, see what it's about. And then once I got into that work, I was like, okay, this is the same thing, because what kind of law do I want to practice? And I wanted to practice family law. Like, this is the same thing. So then after that, I was interviewed by a guy who was looking for an operations manager for his business, and it was in the defense industry. And me and him ended up having a 2-hour conversation from the interview. We really hit it off, and he's like, please help me with my business. I think you'd be great to help me manage it. And the next day I started working for him. And a week later, he left the country for 5 months.
Wow.
So I was in charge of his business that I had just, gotten my hands into. And I learned what all of my skills were, which was I was amazing at running businesses. I could lead a team, I could hire, I could delegate, I could keep the car running. So I realized that I can do that. I can run a business. So from there, I went on to manage a bunch of other companies. And part of my role was to hire people and outsource people to do things for us. So one of those was IT. And I hired a bunch of different IT companies, different IT guys, and hated every single one of them. I was not a happy customer, to say the least. And as life would have it, during that time, I started dating my now husband and partner in business, and he's a systems engineer, and he was working for an IT company that he loved what he did, but he hated his job. I'm like, why do you hate your job? You're doing what you love. You love doing IT. And he's like, no, it's because, sending me on site at the wrong time. The manager buys the wrong, equipment, et cetera, et cetera. So then I told him, why don't we start our own IT company? And he looked at me like I was crazy. He was like, me and you start an IT company? No, you're crazy. We have a mortgage. Like, no, we can't just take these crazy risks. He's like, I don't know how to run a business. And I was like, well, lucky for you, I do. And we played around with a name, and he was just like, no, I can't do this. So months went by, and then at a job that I had this, I think we've all had a horrible boss before. And I remember leaving work that day and sitting in my car and saying, no, I can't work for somebody anymore. I'm going to do something bigger with myself. And I wanted to find something that would be long lasting,
Right.
Technology,
Yeah.
We all, we can't live
Forever
without
changing.
it.
Yeah.
At this point, you can't live without it. If you don't have technology, then you're not in competition. You're not
Right.
in the game.
Absolutely.
So I went home. I did some studying. I started putting together my business plan and coming up with my business model, because I had a very powerful thing in my hands, which is that I knew exactly what the problems were with the local IT companies. Me as a client, as having
Right.
hired many of them, and through dating my now husband, who knew all the problems that IT companies have from the inside. So I was like, I know how to solve this problem. I know how to make an IT company that I would want to hire myself. So I did my business plan, put it together, filed the company, went home that night and offered him a job. When I handed him the papers, he was like, "You did not do this. You are crazy and did." And I was like, "I'm going to do this with or without you,
Wow.
Lucky for me, he took the job. And here we are 8 years later and still building our dream. I'm just so proud of where we started, where we are today, and the business that we've built. We have an amazing team. We have amazing clients, and we do good work for the community. So,
That's an incredible story, by the way.
Thank you.
A lot of risk taking, a lot of what people would see themselves in your story. Unhappy at the job, seeing, having the unfair advantage of like knowing what other people could potentially do worse than you could do it. So realizing all those things and actually taking action. So tell me about the experience of being a woman in business and all that.
Being a woman in business is something that I'm very proud of. I would say it's the thing I love about me the most, because I think us as women have different roles, in their lives. They're wife, daughters. I'm not a mother yet, maybe someday, but I love the part of me that is the CEO of a company, because I get to inspire other women,
Absolutely.
especially women that, like me, that came from another country and come from, low income housing, and going through that whole experience of moving to another country, learning the language and succeeding and grabbing all the opportunities that this country has to give. So I think that me being a woman in business is a role that I take very seriously and that I'm very proud of, because I feel like my story can inspire others. And that's also what I want to do. Continue to inspire others, give back to the community. But I have had some, challenges, especially being in a male-dominated industry.
Tell me about those.
Yeah, well, when I started managing those companies that I had mentioned to you before, I think I look young, but I guess all the men in the jobs where I was thought I was much younger. So gaining the respect as a leader was tough, because, I guess there's that misconception of like, oh, she's a young girl. Like, what does she know? I'm older. I'm wiser. I'm a man,
Right.
And so that was one of the biggest challenges, looking young and being a woman, although sounds great, like, oh, you're a young, beautiful woman.
Right.
It comes with a challenge, because
course.
earning that respect is difficult. But I've always been very strong, and I come from a lot of women in my family are strong and very independent. So I just channel their energy whenever I'm in those situations, that I'm being either questioned for whether I'm good enough or whether I know what I'm talking about. Is my business real? Sometimes when I go to networking events, I have to convince them that it's my business. I'm like, no, I don't work for Stellar ID. This is my business.
Good for you.
I built this. So there's challenges, but I take it with pride. I love what we do. I have a great team of engineers. I don't think many people can do it. Many people can do what I've done. So it's something I'm very proud of.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Love it. Tell me, you mentioned community multiple times.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me about the stuff that you're doing in the community? How did you get involved with ChamberSOUTH? Give me more.
Yes, of course. So when I started my business, all my friends had their regular 9 to 5s, and I had my 9 to 5 because I couldn't let that go for in the beginning of our,
of
you know,
course.
over the journey. So after hours, I was working, on the weekends I was working, and my friends didn't really understand what my lifestyle was like, because at 5 o'clock they all wanted to go out, or on the weekends, you know, just check out from work, and I didn't have that opportunity. So I felt really lonely as a young entrepreneur. I didn't have community. So as my business grew, I started networking, and I realized that everything is about community, and that you need to be involved in the community. You need to put yourself out there, meet other people, help other people. I think that's been one of the biggest blessings for me, is that by helping others is how I think my business has grown. So I drive that way, you know, in helping others.
100%.
So then I started learning about new organizations, and I met Brittany, who was previous here with ChamberSOUTH at an event, and I was just so drawn to her energy and all the things she was doing. She invited me to visit the office and to the events, and I just immediately loved meeting everybody. Everybody's always welcoming, nice. Networking events can be intimidating if you're not used to it, or if you're going by yourself. And ChamberSOUTH has always been such a warm, welcoming organization.
We have great people.
Yeah, I was like, what do I do? What do I need to do to get involved? Sign me up. And now I'm actually part of the community engagement committee. So
awesome. Great.
I am excited. Here again with the word community, you know, it's just, I love being a part of the community and giving back. I'm involved in other organizations. One of the ones that I spend a lot of my time and effort into is called Women for Success.
Very cool.
Which is a local nonprofit organization that focuses on giving women with free tools, resources, community, grants, incubator programs, so that they can set up their business for success. And that's another organization that is dear to my heart, because I think back at young Alejandrina when I started my business, and I was like, these are the people I needed back then. So now I get to be a part of it and help other women make their dreams come true. Like it just can't get better than that for me. That's why I love Women for Success. I invite every woman in business to join that community as well. It's a free community, free events, and it's a lot of fun, and you get a lot out of it. But then I also, like I said, I like to get my hands in everything. I try to find organizations that I'm passionate about, that mean something to me, because when I devote my time into something, I go all in. So I like to be selective, because I know that I'm going to go all in what I'm doing, you know. Yeah. So I'm also involved with the American Cancer Society, that I know they're also members of ChamberSOUTH.
Yeah, and they do great work.
Great work. We're getting ready for Relay for Life, which is going to be June 1st. I hope everybody can come.
Call to action.
Yes. And I'm also involved in Code Art, which is an organization that I really love because it's specific to my industry. What they do is they have all these programs for young girls to introduce computer science at an early age, because most women don't get introduced to computer science until later on. And by the time you're introduced to it, it's just not that interesting to you anymore. You can find it boring, you know? But if you introduce computer science to young girls through art, it's very interesting. So they have a lot of art and coding programs for young girls. So it's a fantastic organization. If anybody wants to check them out, they're actually having a festival this weekend, Code Art Fest. And I just enjoy doing that, because I also want more girls in my team. You know, I have a great group of guys, but it would be ideal if I had more girls involved in Stellar IT. So that's another one of my goals, to inspire young women to go into careers in STEM, because it's really cool once you're a part of that, you know, and it's the future, technology.
Absolutely. So. Are we doing better to close that gap between the opportunities available to men and to women? As a society, I mean.
I think we can do better. I guess, I mean, we can always do better, you know, but I feel like there isn't enough emphasis on getting women into technology.
Okay.
I feel like it's always thought about it's the guy's job, you know. In fact, when I go to offices that, you know, call us for support or whatnot, I always hear like, oh, the IT guy, the guy.
Got
So it's still, I feel like we still have a long way to go where people associate women with technology in that way, you know, that women can come to your office and fix your computer and everything. But there's organizations that are doing that, which is fantastic. And I hope to do that with mine too. In the future, I'd love to start an internship program where I can have,
Great.
you know, students come to our office and learn from my team since they're all just phenomenal engineers. So we're on the way.
Yeah, get it done. Get it done.
Yes.
Tell me about what's next for you.
What's next for me? You know, I don't know if it's the right next, but it's just continuing my path. It's not necessarily a next because although, you know, I always have projects, my husband's always joking, like, what are you doing now? Like, what did you get yourself into this time?
Sounds
you
like
know?
me too. Smart man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always out and about doing projects, getting involved. But I think next is just, and my word for this year actually was elevate. So it's to just elevate everything in my life, you know, but continuing in the path where I'm going. So for Stellar IT, I want to hire more people. We just hired a new technician late last year. He's doing great. So I want to keep growing the business. I want to give the community jobs. You know,
Of course.
I want to create with my business a legacy. You know, I would love to know that when I'm no longer here, Stellar IT is still giving service to our local community. It's providing grants, scholarships. Like I have big dreams for the business.
An impact.
So, yeah, I want to make an impact because, you know, you could do whatever you do in life, you know, but when you're no longer here, how do you want to be remembered? You know, and I want to be remembered by how I made people feel, the things that I did to help others, and I want to use my business to do all those things. And I think in technology, we all need it. So it's a great place to start for me to help a lot of people.
Yeah, great message.
Yeah, so the next is just continuing to elevate everything that I'm doing.
To stay focused and execute.
Yes,
very
definitely.
Cool. Alejandrina, what are some of the skills you could recommend everybody out there to go get to become a better leader?
To become a better leader, well, I think in terms of skills, you know, you just have to be more confident with yourself, you know, trust yourself. When it comes to being a leader, what has helped me since I did study psychology all that time is learning, getting to know your team well.
Okay.
You know, I know that there's one of my guys who hates waking up at 6 a.m, right? So I'm not going to send him on the first on-site of the day. He's my 2 o'clock guy because at 2 o'clock, he's sharp, he's ready, you know? So learning your team and their skills and their strengths, you know, using their strengths to work together has been a key to our success because everybody has something that they bring that's different to the table. And if you just pay a little more attention to people, they tell you, you know, who they are, and you just have to listen and use, like I said, use their strengths and their abilities
to maximize their potential. Exactly.
You know, I think that's a way of being a leader. And another way of being a leader is by showing up yourself.
Yeah.
I show up every day to my best. Maybe not every day, Alice, the best, but you can guarantee that I'm giving you my best that day.
Right.
You know, and
regardless of how that looks like.
Exactly. And when you show up authentically and you're yourself and you work hard, you inspire others.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not showing up, why would they? You know, so showing up, being there, caring, being compassionate, and giving them a purpose, you know, making everybody feel like they're part of your family and they can feel safe with you. I feel like a lot of, in other jobs that I've had and friends that, you know, work for companies, they're always scared of their boss or, you know, asking for this, asking for that. And if you make people feel safe with you and give them respect, they're going to respect you back. And I think those are qualities that make somebody a good leader. So at least that's what I try to do.
That was awesome. Thank you, Alejandrina, for being here with me today. We certainly appreciate you. As part of the board in Chamber South, we really, really appreciate you and what you do for the community. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Of course.
Thank you for being here. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Chamber South Spotlight. Thank you.